Ready to speak English better? Welcome to Lingo Daily. Exploring the charm of Paris. The anticipation had been building for months, ever since I booked the flight and accommodation. Paris. Just the name conjured images of romance, art, and history. Finally, the day arrived. Stepping off the plane at Charles de Gaulle Airport, there was a distinct buzz in the air, a feeling of being somewhere truly special. Navigating through the airport and finding my way to the city center was relatively smooth, thanks to the efficient public transportation system. My hotel was a charming little boutique establishment in the Le Marais district, known for its historic architecture and vibrant atmosphere. The cobblestone streets and quaint cafes immediately captivated me. After a quick check-in, I couldn't resist the urge to start exploring. My first goal was, of course, the Eiffel Tower. Instead of taking the metro, I decided to walk, wanting to soak in the Parisian ambience. The stroll through the city was delightful. I passed elegant buildings with intricate balconies, charming flower shops bursting with color, and pâtisseries displaying tempting arrays of pastries. The aroma of freshly baked bread and brewing coffee wafted through the air, making my senses come alive. As I turned a corner, there it was, the Eiffel Tower, partially hidden by the surrounding buildings, but still undeniably majestic. With each step closer, its presence grew more imposing and breathtaking. By the time I reached the Champ de Mars, the sheer scale of the Iron Giant was awe-inspiring. I joined the throngs of tourists and locals alike, all gazing upwards in admiration. Finding a spot on the grass, I simply sat and stared, absorbing the iconic structure against the clear blue sky. It was even more magnificent in person than I had ever imagined. I spent a good few hours there, taking photos from every angle and simply enjoying the moment. As evening approached, the anticipation for the tower's illumination grew. I found a spot with a good view and waited. When the lights finally flickered on, transforming the Eiffel Tower into a sparkling spectacle, a collective gasp of wonder went through the crowd. The dazzling display was truly magical, a perfect end to my first day in Paris. The next day was dedicated to art and history. My first stop was the Louvre Museum. Having pre-booked my ticket was a wise decision, as the queue was already significant early in the morning. Stepping inside the Grand Palace-Turn Museum felt like entering another world. The sheer scale of the collection was overwhelming, but I had a few key masterpieces I wanted to see. Navigating through the vast halls, I eventually found myself in front of the Mona Lisa. Despite the crowd of people vying for a glimpse, there was an undeniable aura surrounding Leonardo da Vinci's enigmatic masterpiece. Her gaze seemed to follow you no matter where you stood. I spent a few moments appreciating the delicate brushstrokes and the famous sfumato technique before moving on to other treasures. The Venus de Milo was equally captivating, her serene beauty radiating through the centuries. I wandered through rooms filled with ancient sculptures, Egyptian artifacts, and Renaissance paintings, each piece telling a story of a different era. The grandeur of the Louvre itself, with its ornate ceilings and opulent decor, was as impressive as the art it housed. After a morning immersed in art, I decided to take a break and enjoy the Parisian sunshine. I strolled through the Tuileries Garden, a beautiful oasis of manicured lawns, fountains, and sculptures connecting the Louvre to the Place de la Concorde. It was the perfect place to relax and people-watch. In the afternoon, I opted for a bateau-mouches cruise along the Seine River. This offered a different perspective of the city's iconic landmarks. Gliding along the water, I had stunning views of Notre Dame Cathedral, the Musée d'Orsay housed in a former railway station, and the many elegant bridges that span the river. The commentary provided interesting historical facts and anecdotes about the buildings and monuments we passed. Seeing Notre Dame from the river was particularly poignant. While still under reconstruction after the devastating fire, its architectural majesty remained evident. I could still imagine its former glory and felt a sense of hope for its eventual restoration. The river cruise was a relaxing and informative way to see many of Paris's highlights in a short amount of time. As the sun began to set, casting a golden glow over the city, the views became even more enchanting. My exploration of Paris continued with a visit to Montmartre, a hilltop neighborhood known for its artistic history and the stunning Sacré-Cœur Basilica. The climb up the winding streets was rewarded with charming views at every turn. Montmartre has a distinct village-like feel, with its cobblestone lanes, ivy-covered walls, and bustling Place du Tertre. Place du Tertre was alive with activity. Artists set up their easels, creating portraits and selling their artwork to tourists. The atmosphere was vibrant and lively, with the sounds of chatter, laughter, and the occasional street musician filling the air. I watched a caricature artist at work for a while, marveling at their skill in capturing a person's essence with a few strokes of their pen. Dominating the skyline of Montmartre is the Sacré-Cœur Basilica, a magnificent white church with its distinctive domes. The interior was just as impressive, with beautiful mosaics and a sense of serene tranquility. However, the real highlight was the panoramic view of Paris from the steps outside the basilica. From this vantage point, the entire city stretched out before me, a tapestry of rooftops, monuments, and the winding Seine River. I spent a long time simply taking in the breathtaking vista, imagining the history that unfolded across this urban landscape. No trip to Paris is complete without indulging in its culinary delights, and Montmartre offered plenty of opportunities to do so. I wandered into a charming little bistro with red and white checkered tablecloths and sat down for lunch. The menu was classic French fare, and I decided on a croque-monsieur with a side salad. The simple yet delicious sandwich, with its melted cheese and savory ham, was the perfect fuel for further exploration. Later in the afternoon, I treated myself to a crepe from a street vendor. The aroma of sweet batter cooking on the hot plate was irresistible. I opted for a Nutella and banana crepe, a classic combination that never disappoints. Eating it while strolling through the charming streets of Montmartre was a quintessential Parisian experience. In the evening, I found a cozy little restaurant tucked away on a quiet side street. The atmosphere was intimate and inviting, with soft lighting and the murmur of conversation. I ordered coq au vin, a traditional French chicken stew, and a glass of local red wine. The rich and flavorful dish was a true taste of French home cooking. For dessert, I couldn't resist the classic crème brûlée, its caramelized sugar crust cracking perfectly under my spoon. Each meal in Paris was a delightful experience, a celebration of fresh ingredients and culinary tradition. Beyond the major tourist attractions, I also wanted to experience the more local aspects of Parisian life. I spent a leisurely morning exploring the Luxembourg Gardens, a beautiful park in the heart of the city. Here, I saw locals jogging, families enjoying picnics, and students reading by the fountains. The gardens were meticulously maintained, with colorful flower beds, manicured trees, and elegant statues. I found a quiet bench and simply enjoyed the peaceful atmosphere, watching the world go by. Another museum that captured my interest was the Musée d'Orsay, housed in a stunning former railway station. Its collection focuses on 19th-century French art, including masterpieces by Impressionist and Post-Impressionist painters such as Monet, Renoir, Degas, and Van Gogh. Walking through the grand halls of the former station, with its soaring ceilings and natural light, was a unique experience in itself. I was particularly drawn to Monet's water lilies and Van Gogh's self-portraits, their vibrant colors and expressive brushstrokes leaving a lasting impression. To get a taste of everyday Parisian life, I spent some time wandering through the markets. The Marché des Enfants Rouges, the oldest covered market in Paris, was a sensory feast. The air was filled with the aromas of fresh produce, cheeses, meats, and spices from around the world. I browsed the various stalls, admiring the colorful displays and sampling some local delicacies. It was a great place to observe Parisians doing their daily shopping and interacting with the vendors. I also enjoyed exploring the different neighborhoods, each with its own unique character. Le Marais, with its historic architecture and trendy boutiques, was a favorite. I stumbled upon hidden courtyards and charming squares, discovering little independent shops selling everything from artisanal chocolates to vintage clothing. The Latin Quarter, with its student population and intellectual history, had a more bohemian vibe. I browsed the shelves of the famous Shakespeare and Company bookstore and enjoyed the lively atmosphere of its cafes. One evening, I decided to try a traditional French cooking class. It was a hands-on experience where I learned to prepare classic dishes like quiche Lorraine and chocolate mousse. It was fascinating to learn about the techniques and ingredients used in French cuisine, and the best part was enjoying the delicious meal we had prepared together at the end of the class. It was a fun way to immerse myself in the local culture and learn a new skill. While Paris itself offered endless opportunities for exploration, I also decided to take a day trip to the Palace of Versailles, located just outside the city. The grandeur of Versailles was truly overwhelming. The palace, with its opulent hall of mirrors and lavishly decorated staterooms, was a testament to the power and extravagance of the French monarchy. The vast gardens were equally impressive, with their intricate landscaping, fountains, and statues stretching as far as the eye could see. Wandering through the palace and gardens gave me a sense of the history and the scale of the French royal court. Another day trip took me to Giverny, the home and gardens of the Impressionist painter Claude Monet. Walking through the water lily pond and the Japanese bridge that inspired some of his most famous works was a magical experience. The vibrant colors and the serene beauty of the gardens were exactly as depicted in his paintings. Visiting his charming house and studio provided further insight into his life and artistic process. It was a peaceful escape from the city bustle and a chance to connect with the art I had admired in the Musée d'Orsay on a deeper level. Back in Paris, I made sure to revisit some of my favorite spots. I strolled along the Seine again, this time at sunset, watching the city lights twinkle to life. I enjoyed another delicious croissant at my favorite local bakery in Le Marais. I spent a final afternoon in the Luxembourg Gardens, simply relaxing and soaking in the Parisian atmosphere. One of the things that struck me most about Paris was the way of life. There seemed to be a greater emphasis on enjoying the simple pleasures, a good meal, a leisurely stroll, a conversation with friends. The pace felt slightly slower, more deliberate. I admired the way Parisians took pride in their city and its culture. My trip was also filled with small, unexpected moments that added to its charm. A spontaneous conversation with a street artist in Montmartre, the kindness of a shopkeeper who helped me find my way, the impromptu accordion performance in a small cafe. These are the memories that will stay with me long after I've left. As my departure day approached, I felt a mix of sadness and gratitude. Sadness at leaving this beautiful city that had captured my heart, but gratitude for the incredible experiences I had. Paris had lived up to all my expectations and more. It was a city of stunning beauty, rich history, and vibrant culture. It was a place that stimulated the senses and nourished the soul. Leaving Charles de Gaulle Airport, I looked back at the city skyline one last time, promising myself that this would not be my last visit to the City of Lights. The memories of the Eiffel Tower sparkling at night, the masterpieces in the Louvre, the charm of Montmartre, the peacefulness of the gardens, and the delicious tastes of French cuisine would forever be etched in my mind. Paris, j'y reviendrai. The journey back home gave me ample time to reflect on my Parisian adventure. As the plane soared above the clouds, I scrolled through the hundreds of photos I had taken, each one a visual reminder of a cherished moment. It wasn't just the iconic landmarks that stood out in my memory, but also the smaller, more intimate experiences that had woven themselves into the fabric of my trip. I thought about the taste of the first perfect croissant, its flaky layers giving way to a buttery interior. I remembered the feeling of the cool morning air as I walked along the Seine, the reflections of the city lights dancing on the water's surface. The vibrant colors of Monet's garden in Giverny seemed to flash before my eyes, a testament to the power of nature to inspire art. The sounds of Paris also lingered in my mind, the lively chatter in the cafes, the melodic rhythm of the French language, the strains of an accordion drifting from a hidden courtyard. Each sound contributed to the unique symphony of the city. Even the honking of car horns seemed to have a certain Parisian flair. Beyond the sensory experiences, I also reflected on the cultural richness of Paris. The city is a living museum with history embedded in every stone and corner. Walking through its streets felt like stepping back in time, surrounded by centuries of art, architecture, and intellectual heritage. The respect for art and culture was palpable, evident in the numerous museums, galleries, and theaters that thrived throughout the city. I also appreciated the Parisian approach to life. There was a certain art to slowing down, to savoring a meal, to engaging in conversation, to simply enjoying the present moment. It was a refreshing contrast to the often hurried pace of life back home. I found myself adopting a more relaxed attitude during my time in Paris, a habit I hope to carry back with me. The kindness and warmth of the Parisian people I encountered also left a lasting impression. From the hotel staff who offered helpful advice to the shopkeepers who patiently answered my broken French, I was consistently met with politeness and a willingness to assist. These small acts of hospitality made me feel welcome and contributed to the overall positive experience of my trip. Looking back, my holiday in Paris was more than just a sightseeing tour. It was an immersion into a different culture, a journey through history and art, and a personal exploration. It was a reminder of the beauty that exists in the world and the importance of taking time to experience it. As the plane began its descent, I knew that a part of my heart would forever remain in Paris. The city had cast its spell on me, and I was already dreaming of the day I could return. The memories I made, the sights I saw, and the feelings I experienced would stay with me, a constant source of inspiration and joy. Paris, au revoir, but definitely not adieu. The City of Lights had illuminated not only its own beauty, but also a part of my soul. The experience had enriched my life in countless ways, and I knew that the lessons learned and the memories created would continue to shape my perspective on the world. The dream had become a reality, and the reality had exceeded all expectations. Paris was not just a city. It was an experience, a feeling, a memory etched in time. And I was so grateful to have had the opportunity to be a part of its ongoing story, even for a brief but unforgettable moment. The lingering impression was one of awe, wonder, and a deep appreciation for the beauty and culture that Paris so effortlessly embodies. The thought of returning was not just a wish, but a certainty. The magic of Paris had captured me, and I knew, without a doubt, that our paths would cross again.